Good afternoon, everyone. Today, I'd like to talk about our bad weather procedures. Today's agenda is, first of all, we'll talk about the climatology of Hong Kong and the concern of our ATC during weather and the weather effect to different sectors, and our newly equipped CAPI, which is our weather display system on our radar screen, and also some case studies on 07 and 25 operations. Okay, first of all, so the climatology of Hong Kong, so for March and April, it usually humid and with fog and drizzle. And from May to August, which is moist and hot with occasional showers and thunderstorms. And July and October, as you know, we are very likely to be affected by tropical cyclone. And October to November, and fine and mild, and December to February, we generally have a passage of cold front, which may bring dry northerlies and generally cloudier in January and February. So what are the concerns of our ATC during weather? That's safety. First of all, we have to maintain vertical and lateral separation. That's our first priority. And after that, we have to maintain orderly in our airspace. For example, we have to maintain airspace integrity, and we have to obey the agreement with adjacent sector, which is Zhuhai and then Guangzhou. And efficiency, we have to push our departure and arrival rates and obey different kind of flow control. And sorry to the pilots here, whether the fuel burns or continuous climb or descent is not our concern during weather. But I understand your concern. Of course, you'd like to burn less fuel, but in weather we really can't. Sometimes we can't cater for your requests. So for the effect of weather to ATC, so which means non-standard traffic flow, which means we can't let you on the star or the seat. You may request deviation, and due to some weather cell in our airspace or on your route, it reduced the airspace capacity. So that means the airspace available for you to maneuver which is greatly reduced, and it will introduce some new conflict points and more frequency occupancy times. That means we go and forth many times. Or for example, you request a heading, and then we approve a heading. Maybe you didn't mention how many miles you want that heading. Then we ask you how many miles you want to maintain that heading or so. So it increased the frequency occupancy time. Also, we have extra coordination with our counterparts. So I have to coordinate with next sector that this aircraft is still waiting on the heading and will be on certain altitude to your airspace. So we have maybe sometimes you call us, we didn't reply because we are coordinating off the mic with our colleagues. And also limiting weathering, and we really relied on the 1,000 feet. So today, and I will talk about different sectors. Although I'm only approach and departure and terminal controller, I try to talk about some aerodrome effect of weather to aerodrome and also on route. So for aerodromes, we have to deal with some non-standard misapproach, which is sometimes we have, you may heard about the sim mode or co-op mode. And we have to deal with different kind of aerodrome guy have to deal with some departure flow, as Henry and George mentioned before. We have different funny departure flow imposed by Guangzhou or actually imposed by us because of the weather. Maybe because of the through apron condition, the arrival rate is larger than the departure rate. So you can see on the figure that we have to rely on holding on the taxiway as well. And then we will have to deal with some sudden runway change because of weather, because of the wind condition. poor visibility, and departure or ground holding, and red lighting warning, as mentioned before. So for sim mode and coordinate mode, we have to deal with the 07 or 25, 07 left or 25 right misapproach to 25 left and 07 right seat. So for if they are on the standard misapproach and seat, they are procedurally separated. So we don't have to take care of them. They can just fly their seat and standard misapproach track. If they're misapproach, if they are on sim mode and misapproach is on runway heading, which is not standard, for example, there's a weather cell on the left, so then we have to stop either one at 3,000 feet and another one X-fly through 4,000 feet. So usually the pick is, we will pick the one go around to X-fly 4,000 feet and the departure on the southern rate maintain at 3,000 feet. That we normally usually do. But of course it depends on the situations. And if we will check whether they are whistle or not to have them visually separated, or change to coordinate mode if the situation getting worse, because we can cater for one non-standard misapproach, but if we have consecutive non-standard misapproach, we may try to change to coordinate mode. So for the coordinate mode, the departure has to roll when the arrival is 3 nautical miles out. So we can't have any departure if it is already inside the 3 miles. So which means we require bigger arrival spacing. So instead of 3.5 nautical miles final spacing or 4 miles, depends on wake turbulence category, we have to do 5 or 6. So which reduce our arrival rates. And also it means we will have a lower departure rate, which means virtually +2 or +3 instead of 90 seconds or 120 seconds. So this is our chart for 2.5. And as you can see, if the standard misapproach is make a right turn, and when it is on 4,000 feet and 3 miles from Lima Kilo Charlie, and we make a right turn to procedurally separated from the 2.5 left departure. And this is the 07. The standard misapproach is going to DD, the first waypoint, so to procedurally separated from our departure on the south. But if in case there is some weather on DD, and we have to let them to fly the one-way heading, and we have to do some kind of separation. Tower guy have to do some separation, or they hand it to us to make sure that we have 1,000 feet apart between them. So for our approach and departure, the weather affect us is go around. So we have to vector the go around aircraft into our sequence, and also we have to take care of non-standard misapproach, as I mentioned before. And we also have to deal with some, because Shenzhen Airport and Guangzhou, Shenzhen Airport especially, and Macau Airport are quite close to our aerodrome. So sometimes we have to deal with the deviation from and to China airspace. And whether on rifle track versus terrain, and so a lot of aircraft may ask for deviation once they're airborne. But you know that Hong Kong International Airport there is surrounded by mountains, so usually we will ask you to X-fly climb before we can give you some turn. And of course, the pilot concern most about is about the track miles, because sometimes you will have to deviating just like a shortcut, so you have a fewer track miles for descent and climb. So for terminal guide, our TM8, we have to delay. We will give you an onward clearance time, OCT. And we have to deal with different fuel status, which Brian may touch about later on. in his presentation. And diversion. Sometimes they simply can't hold for 30 minutes due to weather. They have to divert. And they have to deal with deviation to and from China airspace. And sometimes we may have a through holding stack. So from flight level 130 to flight level 260, and I saw some case the terminal guys are holding 10 more aircrafts. So please forgive us for not answering your request immediately, because sometimes as a TMA guy, we are pretty busy at this moment. But of course, I understand a guy shouldn't be holding 6 or more aircraft in our airspace, but sometimes it's just a sudden surge of aircraft coming in from Guangzhou or from China. So that maybe it is possible to hold 10 more aircraft sometimes for a short period of time. And also we have, for terminal guy, we have to deal with the go around for Macau and also the diversion. So you can see our free holding stack in the picture. The TM East is dealing from traffic from the east, from Taipei, from Japan. And another one is Betty and Kanto dealing with aircraft from the west. So this is for en route guy, this is the airspace of the en route people. So they have to also deal with deviation to and from the adjacent sector. And sometimes they have to do high-level holding for our terminal controller, say flight level 270, 280, 290, in case of the congestions of TMA airspace. Also, they have limited outbound level. As Henry mentioned before, we have, in case of large-scale weather deviation, the actually usable level is cut into half. So also you have to expect a lower cruising level because of the step climb and because of the weather. Some aircraft have to step climb, so you may be held at a certain level for a longer period of time. So sometimes you may not get a very optimum cruising level for you. And they have to deal with the flow control from adjacent sector, from Sanya, from Taipei, from Manila. And also they have to deal with diversion as well. So this is the large-scale weather deviation, the scheme. And you can see originally from Noman, Sepno, Dosud, Apcal, there's quite a lot of level for in and out. But after they imposed the large-scale weather deviation, actually the usable level is half, so as shown in the red. So actually they are quite limited level usable only. So CAPI, and this is our newly equipped features. The full name is Constant Altitude Plan Position Indicator. It is a superimposed image of rainfall on the radar and updated every 6 minutes. So it is only, but at this moment it's only up to 256 kilometers. So it is about 120, 130 nautical miles. But we are planning to increase the range to cover the whole Hong Kong FR. And we are only we can display at one altitude, but it is configurable, so we can change it according to different sector. So maybe we can change it to 10,000 feet or 15,000 feet. So we can configurable. Is configurable, and also the difference between the cockpit weather radar. Just now I asked some pilot that the angle may be only just 40 degrees to the left and right, but we can see the whole radar screen. So sometimes what I encounter is that maybe you have to turn me into that direction before I can answer you whether I can accept that direction or not. But usually we can see that radar picture behind your aircraft. So it gives a better understanding, give us a better picture for us to try to navigate you around the weather. So this is a picture for what you see from the Hong Kong offshore HKO, and also what we see from our radar screen on the right. So the red part is most of the aircraft can't fly through the red part, and some aircraft may be able to fly through the yellow, and most of them is able to fly through over the green part. So this is a very similar picture to similar to what HKO provide to us. So, and I would like to talk about some operation, some case study among our operation. So this is our approach and departure airspace. You can see free stream of traffic coming in: Murray flight level 110, Mango 130, and Muscle flight level 130. And also, we have some through air traffic going to Guangzhou, and come into our airspace flight level 220, and then 170 by Charlie Hotel, and then flight level 4,500 meters by Tamot. And also, we have to deal with Macau arrival, which is flight level 230 into our approach departure airspace, and then flight level 110 by Hazel. So you can see quite a lot of crossing we have to deal with in our airspace. And this is the terminal airspace for holding aircraft from Sierra or from Siku Ikela. So if there is a weather cell over Sierra, what we want pilot to do is, if you deviate to the left, which is I understand it is the where the runway is. So you try to deviate towards the runway, but it creates some problems to us. It involves two control airspace. So first of all, we have to coordinate with our colleagues. And then it's quite difficult for you to descend because of the track miles. This is sometimes we give the shortcut to you. But as you know, when you're coming into Sierra at flight level 190, it may be quite high for you to lose the altitude and reach about 3,000 to 6,000 feet at Limes. So and also we won't entertain any queue jumping. So what we usually do is we'll bring you out again to Betty, and then do some hold, and then lose your altitude, and then go back to the queue. So we, as a controller, we don't like you to deviate to the left. Of course, I understand sometimes the weather may force you into that direction, but just I tell you, we don't like that. So we will bring you down to Betty to hold, or in that direction back to Kanto to hold. We prefer you to deviate to the right, which join the traffic sequence, which we have more room for wet terrain and more track miles for you to descend. So if the weather is at Kanto or Murray, so for Siku and inbound traffic, if you want to, as usual, I understand pilot would want to deviate to the left as usual because the runway is there. But you will merge with Macau arrival and Shenzhen overflight, which is at flight level 120. So it's quite difficult for us to descend you below flight level 130. So think about there is about 20 miles from around that position to Limes. So it's quite impossible for you to lose about 8,000 feet or 9,000 feet in about 15 to 20 miles. Of course, sometimes we will offer this kind of shortcut to you when there is no traffic. But usually when there is a lot of traffic and some Sierra guy coming in flight for 120, Macau guy down below, we don't offer this kind of track. So instead, we prefer you to deviate to the right. And of course, we have to step you above the Pecan departure. usually at flight level 120, and then you 130, but you have more room to descend, more track miles to descend. So when you're trying to request your deviation, we prefer you, or we will ask you, can you deviate to the right? Or we say unable to give you the descent, or we try to tell you that there is a traffic below you, you can't descend, you have to make an orbit, or make or even a holding pattern over limes. So this is for traffic from the east. So if there's a weather around Abbey or around Muscle, we don't want you to deviate to the right. That's mean deviate towards the Guangzhou or Zhuhai airspace. And there is a Daya Bay restricted area, which even you are 20 or 30 miles away from that, they will call us. Make sure that make sure that the aircraft don't go into the Daya Bay. So usually we receive this kind of phone call even you are miles away. And also you will in conflict with Pico departures, which is quite close and similar profile. So instead we will introduce weather mode, and for lakes and ocean departure, we stop at flight level 170 and let your inbound traffic descend to flight level 180. And we prefer you to deviate to the left, which we have more room for vectoring to sequence the aircraft. And you will have enough track miles to descend for 07. So for Pecan departure, if there is a weather around Titan or Bream, if you deviate to the right, it will conflict with Murray inbound traffic, just as I mentioned before, and Macau arrival as well. So you can expect a step climb. We don't want to do that, but we have to step climb, give some descent to arrival, and give some climb to you. So you can expect a step climb 7,000 feet, 9,000 feet, and then flight level 120, depend on traffic. As you can see, Murray traffic is coming in from flight level 110. So I understand, so some pilot keep, we are maintaining 7,000 feet, we are maintaining 9,000 feet, you give a call for us to remind us you are maintaining 7, or maintain 9, but sometimes we just can't give you any climb or descent at this moment. We will hand it to terminal guide, TMA guide for you to climb. So instead, we prefer you to deviate to the left, which may be less conflict and higher initial climb. So it may be up to flight level 120, not much difference, but at least flight level 120 until you clear of the holding pattern around Betty. So for lakes and ocean departure, if there is a weather around Tango Delta, so usually you will hear said we don't want you to deviate to the north. We prefer you to deviate to the south, because deviate to the north you will go into the Abbey holding pattern, and we can't give you any climb. Best is flight level 120. We would like you to go back to lakes or ocean as soon as possible before we give you further climb. If you deviate to the right, and then we have to step under the mango traffic, which is about first call may we descend, which they come in from mango is flight level 130, and then we may be able to give you some climb at flight level 120, or 7,000 feet initially, and then back to ocean or lakes. So, but deviate further to the south, that's mean going to Betty, we can't give you any climb because of usually there are holding patterns at Betty. So for runway 25 operations, this is our 25 airspace. And you can see inbound traffic coming from Murray at flight level 150. And we have a restriction at Trout at flight level 140. So we can't get, track miles there may be quite tight, I understand, and we will try to, we'd like to give you some descent as soon as possible, unless when you can able to make some left turn to separate from the outbound track, which is at flight level 140 at Trout. So we're using 3 nautical miles inside our approach and departure airspace. So as long as you get 3 miles, we are able to give you some descent. And also bear in mind that we have a mango traffic coming in at flight level 130. So the Trout restriction is actually very important because it is kind of procedural separation with mango traffic. So sometimes I understand we will give you shortcut to Trout, and give you shortcut to Trout. Sometimes we are expecting you to still make the requirement flight level 140 at Trout, and we will try to look at your profile and climb rates before we issue any further shortcuts or not. But it is quite an important restriction that please try your best to exploit climb to reach that point, because you are procedurally separated with mango traffic. Of course, we have some other techniques to do so, but if you can make that 140 at Trout, it makes our work much easier. So this is a TM South airspace, which deal with traffic from Noman or Sapno. And you can see the holding pattern at Betty. If there is a weather around Mango area, we prefer you to deviate to this direction. No, we don't want you to deviate to this direction, because some long-haul flights can't actually reach flight level 140 by Trout. So you may be deviating into traffic which is similar profile, which may be 130, or it is still struggling to climb at flight level 110, 120, something like that. Instead, we prefer you to deviate to the right, which is more track miles for the outbound to climb, and more track miles for, we move the conflict point further, so you have more track mile to descend, and we can separate that by at that time. And it is quite often that you have a weather cell on Rumsey, and so if you deviate to the right at this time, you will conflict with Macau arrival, which is ranging from flight level 110 to 3,000 feet. So it is of the same profile. You are climbing out, you are about 5,000 feet, 7,000 feet, or 9,000 feet, which is of very similar profile with Macau arrival. So what we do is we will try to make vector the Macau guys away to give the Macau guy descent, and then you climb. Hope that you have the vertical separation before we put the Macau guy back to the RS approach for runway 34. And if you deviate to the left, which of course is shorter track miles, but it is not a very big problem to us, because the mango traffic will keep descending to 8,000 feet, and you keep climbing, and so the profile is most of the time is okay at there. So we prefer you, when you are Hong Kong departure, if you saw a weather cell over Rumsey, we prefer you deviate to the left. So this is a minimum vectoring altitude of our airspace. We are surrounded by mountains. So so if you sometimes the pilot requests deviation, for example, straight ahead, and then you will go to Zhuhai and Macau ATC, depends on your altitude, and we don't know where the Zhuhai guy will vector you around. So you may take a long time for you to come back into Hong Kong airspace. So you may hear us say that if you maintain this heading for another 10 miles, you'll be in Zhuhai airspace. Please make sure we are not trying to tell you not to deviate around weather, but If you go on, we will still do coordination with Zhuhai, but we are not sure whether Zhuhai will bring you another way round to your destination or make a short vector back to our airspace. We really don't know. So sometimes we warn you before that. We'll give you, you will be in Guangzhou airspace, will be in Zhuhai airspace, you will deviating into Macau ATC, so we will pre-warn you. But nothing stopping you from deviating, please. Don't make me wrong. And for 07 departure, if you want to maintain runway heading, you will be strict to the 4,300 feet MVA. So usually you will hear say the X-fly climb 4,300 feet before we can give you any vectors. And also you may, if you are peak-end departure, we will ask you X-fly through 4,100 feet before we can give you any turn because of the Lantau peak. So I know it's not exhaustive all the deviation direction, but just to know our limitation and watch which is our flight path we want you to fly at to reduce the conviction. So that's all my presentation. Thank you.